Hello wonderful world, Elayne here, and today I'm going to be telling you all of the books that I read during the month of December in the year 2020. This month I was able to read 6 books. 2 of them were fantasy novels, 3 were romance books, and 1 was a memoir audiobook. So let's get into the wrap-up. I'm going to start by showing you the first book that I read this month. This book is called Hunted by the Sky by Tanaz Bahatina. Hunted by the Sky is a YA fantasy novel that is the first book in a duology. This book actually came out in 2020. This book follows the story of a young girl named Gull who has been in hiding pretty much her entire life. There is a prophecy in her kingdom that a girl with a star-shaped birthmark is going to kill the king. Because of this, the king has been hunting down girls with birthmarks and killing them so that he can live, basically. So Gull was born with a star-shaped birthmark and she's been in hiding because of it. However, one day her family is caught. She manages to escape, but her parents are brutally murdered. Because of this, Gull swears that she's going to get revenge and kill the person who killed her parents as well as the king. So the story basically follows Gull as she trains with a group of women like her to really come into her magic and fighting abilities. This was a really fun and entertaining book, but for me, it just didn't feel very cohesive. The author said that she was trying to combine different types of mythology as well as add some things from her own imagination, which I found to be very admirable, but in my opinion, it just didn't work. There was too much going on. There was the whole world of magic that we had to learn about. Then there were, like creatures who were half lion, half eagle, half human. There was the whole birthmark prophecy. And then there was a lot of information about how the world came to be and kingdoms prior and how they felt like history. While I felt that the author was trying to create this really cool fantasy world, it just didn't work. There was just way too much going on and it wasn't very cohesive. As a reader, it felt really frustrating when I got to the end of the novel and there was just way more information dumped on me that I wish I would have gotten prior, because it kind of changed the way I viewed the world and my understanding of the fantasy world and how magic worked. I also didn't really connect with the main character, Gull. She is 15. I did sometimes think that she was rather childish. Now, I think that what she was saying was even a little bit too immature for a 15-year-old girl. Gull was just very angsty and she was always like, I know what's best, don't tell me what to do. Which, I don't know. I was just like, okay, Gull, like these girls are way more experienced and mature than you. Just let them tell you what to do. Chill out. And there is also a love story in this book. Personally, I didn't enjoy the love story. I felt it was rather forced and I didn't really see the spark. The author kind of tells you there's a spark, they have chemistry, they're drawn to each other. But the author doesn't really show us. So I would have preferred to see their relationship grow instead of just being told that it did grow. Because of these reasons, I ended up rating the book 2.5 out of 5 stars. It was really entertaining. I thought it was a really interesting concept and admirable, but for me, as I kept reading, I just fell more out of the story rather than in it. The next book that I picked up is Kiss Me in New York by Katherine Ryder. This book follows the story of 2 high school-aged kids who are heartbroken on Christmas in New York City. They meet in an airport and find a book called How to Get Over Your Ex in 10 Easy Steps. Since they both were recently dumped, they decide to complete this guide together, and it's just one whirlwind day of them completing these steps, connecting, and falling in love in New York City at Christmas time. That sounds like an amazing concept to me, something that I know I would really enjoy, especially something that I know I would have enjoyed in high school. However, this book just didn't do it for me. If I read this book in high school, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I'm a little bit over the whole, let's get married after one day of knowing each other in high school, okay? It was just a little bit fast, so the pacing wasn't the best for me. Also, this book wasn't written very well. There were some grammatical errors I didn't like. It's 2 points of views and I felt that the 2 POVs weren't entirely different. My personal opinion is that if you can open the page and take all the names off and not know whose head you're in, then the book does not need more than 1 point of view. So while I did really enjoy the concept of this book, it fell short in character development, pacing, and writing style. I filmed an entire Christmas reading vlog about this book. If you want my full depth opinion, I really ranted. I talked a lot about the internalized sexism that's present in this book, what I didn't like about the writing style, the obsession with labels, and just the things that really bugged me about this book. This was the lowest rated book of 2020 for me. I ended up giving this book 1 out of 5 stars. It just really didn't do it for me. Authors really went for it and they had a really cool concept. Unfortunately, they just didn't follow through. If you want more in-depth views, I will put the link to my Christmas reading blog in the description. The next book that I picked up is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is a very wintry book. I wanted to read this in the winter because it just takes place in Russia where it's snowing and cold all the time, and it was just perfect for the winter vibes. This book is kind of hard to explain, but in a nutshell, it contrasts religion and magic, particularly old religion and like worshiping spirits and lots of different gods like nature gods versus Christianity. And so personally, I thought that was a fantastic, really intriguing concept. I loved this book. A little bit more about it. The main character, her name is Vazia. Vazia and her village have been worshiping the village spirits and like old religion for as long as they can remember. They leave out offerings for different like folklore creatures that are supposed to help them and guard them and protect them. A new religious figure, a father, comes to their village and kind of convinces the village that their ways are wrong and teaches them the ways of God. When he does this, the village spirits are not happy, okay? And some awakening happens and some bad guys are released, and Vazia has to learn to tap into her own magic powers to kind of defend her village. And that's basically the plot of the story. I don't want to say anything else. Just think of it as religion versus magic, okay? I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really well written. It was really well developed. It reads just like a fairy tale, and I'm a big fan of fairy tales. It was perfect for the winter time, and I just really, really loved the main character, Vazia, and I'm excited to see where this story goes as it is a trilogy, and Vazia is just a child in this book, and I can't wait to see when she comes into her powers and who she grows into be. The next book that I read this month was In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This is a holiday rom-com book with a Groundhog Day element to it. So this book follows the story of the main character, May, who has been going to stay in a cabin in Utah with her family for as long as she can remember. However, this last Christmas holiday, everything has gone horribly wrong. There's these 2 brothers from another family that stay in the cabin with them, and she kissed the wrong one. She's been longing for the other brother as long as she can remember, but this holiday she messed it up, kissed the wrong brother. She feels like her life is at a dead end with her job and she doesn't really know what she's gonna do. And to make it all worse, the families have decided to sell the cabin. So the cabin that she has been staying in since childhood, she will not be able to go back to next Christmas. In the car, on their way home, she looks up to the sky and makes a wish to the universe. Universe, please show me what will make me happy. And then ensues a huge Groundhog Day thing where she wakes up and she is not back at home, but instead she is back in the past and reliving her recent trip to the cabin. This was a really, really cute read for the holiday season. I have another vlog that's my holiday reading vlog where I read this book if you want more in-depth thoughts. But overall, this was a really, really cute read, perfect to get me in the holiday mood. I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Took off a couple stars because there were a few concepts and relationships that I wish were further developed and explored. I thought that for the length of this book, they could have gone into those relationships a little bit more. It was also really cheesy and predictable, which was what I was looking for. There were some times where I was like, oh, they have a chance to do something different, and then they never did. The next book that I read this month was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I listened to this book on audiobook, and it was narrated by Matthew McConaughey himself, which was really, really cool. I really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed hearing about him. He's a very interesting guy, so I really liked hearing his stories from childhood as well as all the way up to his acting career. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was really cool and I really liked it and I enjoyed it. I didn't necessarily like the parts where he got a little preachy. There were some self-help parts where he was giving some advice, and sometimes I felt like it was a little bit deep, like he was really, really trying to be like philosophical about the world, and I was like, okay, I don't really know what you're trying to say here. So because of that, I took off a couple stars. It's just tells stories about his life and how he got where he is today. It's filled with humor. I really enjoyed reading it in the audiobook because he laughs when he intended there to be a laugh. He pauses when he intended there to be a pause. He also throws in some poetry, and I just really enjoyed the book. The last book that I read in the month of December was One Day in December by Josie Silver. This book is about a girl named Laurie who is riding the bus when she looks out the window and sees a boy, and she knows that he is the one. They make eye contact. She's like, oh my gosh, this is my Princess Cinderella true love moment. He is the one, okay? And so her bus pulls away and she doesn't see him. Like, they don't get exchange numbers, nothing. So she spends the entire next year looking for this boy. Looking for this guy everywhere she turns. Every bar she goes into, she's looking for him. Every bus stop, she's looking for him. And it's a year and she still hasn't found him. Until one day her best friend brings home her new boyfriend, and it happens to be the boy from the bus. From there, drama ensues. Laurie has to kind of navigate being a good, supportive friend versus dealing with her own feelings of love and frustration. This book spans a 10-year time period. It's written in a very unique way. It flips from month to year, and it only has like 2 pages. So it'll be March 2008. And there will be 2 pages, and then it will be December 2008, and there will be 2 more pages, and then it will be January 2009, and there will be 2 pages. Because of that, I didn't really feel like I connected deeply with the characters. I also didn't really like the guy from the bus. His name is Jack. I just didn't think he was that good of a guy. I didn't see what all the hoopla was about. I felt that the way that this book was written was really interesting, and it shows us that 10-year period and how people grow and change, particularly how relationships grow and evolve. So at the beginning of this book, I was ready to call it quits, but by the end, I was glad I read it because this book did really make me think. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars because there were a few things I really liked about it, but there were way more things that I hated about it. Those are the 6 books that I read in the month of December. You can tell that I was really in a holiday romance mood because I read 3 of those books. 6 books is a great way to end my reading of 2020, and I am excited to see what's going to come in 2021. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Please let me know down below what books you read in the month of December. Bye!